Nebraska, and he did steal my spot. I was supposed to speak right after lunch. And somebody said, hey, Aaron's speaking right after lunch. And I'm like, I'm going to kick his ass. And then I said, I'm going to try to kick his ass. He's a big boy. So, hey, it's good to see you guys. Are you guys having a good morning? Good afternoon now, right? Unbelievable already. How many people know we got lots to do, but how many can leave right now and say it's been worth the trip to Austin? Very cool. Glad you guys are here. Thank you for hanging out. I was talking to a friend of mine, Ed, earlier. The industry of speaking on stage in front of people has changed a lot in the last few years. It is weird to see all these phones and stuff in the air. You guys, it's weird. It's kind of odd. So everybody get the picture. Here it is. Oh, fun. Hey, so I've got a couple things I want to share with you. I'm going to teach you how to read minds today. Does that sound interesting and cool? No, really. I really am. How many people want to know what your spouse is thinking without having to ask? It can be done. So before I walked on stage, I was standing back at the stage talking to my new friend Damien, and he said, how did you get into this business? And we were walking, and I didn't have time for the full story, and I said, probably just to sum it up in one word, I'm too lazy to work and too dumb to steal. Which is actually, oddly, is not too far from the truth. You heard most of my story last night, so I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about my story, other than what I want to share with you today are a couple of things that I think, I get asked a lot, they'll say, someone will say, hey, if you had one thing that you could tell me as a brand new person, one thing that I can take away, apply to my business today, and get monster results. I mean, on the fast track, really, really fast, efficient, what would it be? So I'm going to share that with you today. But before I do, I want to tell you this cool thing. Has anybody ever seen a mind reader? A psychic? Nobody's going to make fun of you. Just raise your hand. If you've ever, okay. Okay. No, but I had an opportunity recently to watch a mind reader or a psychic or whatever. He was in front of a small audience. And I'm fascinated with human behavior. It's just fascinating to me. And so, where else to see really weird human behavior except in a place where a guy claims to be able to read your mind? So this guy is, he's sitting on a stool in front of the audience, and it's all very quiet, and everything's just all very serene. And he starts saying things like, I'm getting Harold, getting the word Harold, or maybe it's Howard. Does that mean anything to anybody in the room? And this lady raised her hand and says, yeah, Howard was my grandfather. And it says, I'm getting something else. I'm getting that he's deceased. And he says, I'm getting something in this area. Like, how many people do you hear they die from like a hand problem? I'm getting something in this area. I couldn't cover anything, right? So anyway, what was interesting though was this guy was he was pretty good at what he was doing. It was interesting to watch because he told some people like, hey, here's your mom's name, or he told one lady, he said, you have a scar on your left knee from when you had a bicycle wreck when you were 8 years old. He was right. It's kind of freaky to watch. And I'll probably get kicked out of the International Brotherhood of Magicians for telling you this, but it's a trick, and it's the same trick used by James Von Prague and Sylvia Brown and Darren Brown and all these people. So I'm going to tell you how it works today, and I'm going to tell you, more importantly, I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you how this works, because there's a really cool lesson in here that I want to help you apply to your Power Network business. It's called cold reading, and it's basically based on a set of rules. The idea of cold reading is that if you get a sufficiently large group of people, it can be anywhere from 15 or 20 people in a room to 3,000 and 4,000 people in a room, there's certain things that are always going to be true. If you were born between September the 15th and September the 18th, let me hear you. So that's a disproportionate number. Actually, you'd think, well, out of 3,000 people, you should have 10 people in the room, because it ought to be 1 out of 365 choices, right? Unless you know that more people, like September the 16th is the most popular birthday of the year. Anybody in here born on September 16th? Yeah, well, it's my birthday too, so write that down and you can buy me something next year. Yeah. No, really. Yeah. But there's other things. You see people that say, hey, I want you to think of a shape, not a square, but think of a shape, and then I want you to put it inside of another shape. And then they'll talk for a few minutes, and then you wonder, wow, how did they do that when they say that you were thinking of a circle instead of a triangle? How many people thought of the circle instead of a triangle? See, disproportionately, there's always a group of people, and you're like, wow, how did he do that? Or if somebody says, I want you to think of a two-digit number between 1 and 50, but I want you to think of an odd number, 2 digits between 1 and 50. Most people say 37. How many people thought 37? Right, okay. So this is not supernatural stuff. This is not metaphysical stuff. This is understanding a few rules. And by the way, all little girls have a scar on their left knee. I mean, it's just, everybody wrecks their bike when they're 8 years old, right? So here's why I mention this. I'm fascinated by that stuff. I'm fascinated by finding patterns in groups of people that are not obvious. And one of the simplest things that we can do in this business is we look at a group of people and say, okay, here's 80,000 people in Empower Network. And then there's this smaller group of people that are just getting stupid results. I mean, just freaky. I mean, do you guys, have you noticed how many part-timers have been on stage this weekend that are making like $300,000 a year? Yeah? Yeah? That's not normal. That's not normal. That's not really even supposed to happen in our industry. And yet, we've got lots of people here, like Alex is part-time, Chris is part-time. We've got lots of people that are doing this alongside their job. Lawrence made like $500,000 here while he's still working at a job. So I'm fascinated by that as someone who's just, attracted to human nature. I want to find, what are these people doing that we can isolate and we can apply to our own businesses? And this is where I was several years ago, because I was a grinder. David told some of my story last night. The funny thing is, when I went from being broke to making money, I was happy to grind. How many people are in that situation where it's like, hey, if I'm making $20,000 a year, I don't mind grinding, because you want the $20,000. Can anybody relate to that? A few of you? Okay. Yeah. So like when I went from not being able to afford groceries to suddenly making $10,000 a month, I was okay with being on the phone at 7 a.m. and being on the phone at 11 p.m. for a while. And one of the things that I learned is that nobody is going to consistently do for long something that they absolutely despise. And I managed to do it for several years before I finally hit this emotional wall. But here's what took me from being broke to being prosperous was finding a handful of things that were commonalities between all the successful people. So I became a student of this. And there's a gentleman in the room today named John Lavinia who actually taught me this. He was the first person that I heard say, here are these 5 things. And all of a sudden, you know what to look for. It's kind of like you ever go test drive a car, you go test drive a Mercedes, and you get back in your car, and you're going home, all of a sudden everybody on the road has a Mercedes. Have you ever had that experience? Say yes? Yeah. Or you decide, hey, oh, isn't that a really cool purse? And then all of a sudden you see that purse everywhere at the mall next time you go. Right? So, same thing. So when I learned this from John, some of the 5 commonalities of top earners, I started seeing it everywhere. And I would talk to people that were making a lot of money, and I would say, well, what's your thoughts on this? And sure enough, it's one of the 5 things. So I want to give it to you real quickly. And, wow, time flies. Is that right? What's a guy got to do to get an hour? I guess I need to make $200,000 a month. I can get an hour on stage. No, so I'm going to hurry through these real quickly, but these are actually, because I am short on time, I'm just going to give them to you in 5 clumps. We have the 8 core steps, and they actually are the same things that I'm about to tell you. They're just outlined a little differently. So the first thing is personal development every day. How many people enjoyed Aaron Rashkin? Say it one more time. Aaron Rashkin is about as good as anybody I've ever known who is really capable of communicating some of these subtler mindset concepts in a way that everybody can grasp it. This idea of personal development goes straight to the core of something that David Wood's been talking about for the last couple of days as well. You don't get what you want in this business. You get what you are. That's probably the best thing I've got for you today. If you want to jot that down. It's not mine, but it's worth keeping. You don't get what you want in this business. You get what you are. Or said another way, your life is a reflection of who you're being. And somebody says, well, Tony, what do you mean who am I being? I'm being me. Yeah, but a lot of times we find ourselves knee-jerking our way through life, sort of falling in the same thought patterns. And if you're not careful, you can wind up getting into a rut of thinking, and our thinking creates our decisions, and our decisions create our actions, and then our actions create our results. So, your best thinking has created the situation you're in right now, which can be really good, and it can be like it really sucks. Like the first time I heard that, it really pissed me off a lot, actually. Somebody's like, well, Tony, don't you know that you're creating your entire life? Don't you know that, like, if you can't pay your bills, you're the one doing that? Shut up. No, it's the economy. It's the Democrats, or the Republicans, or whoever got elected. Or I had this big list of the reasons why my life wasn't working. And then I discovered personal development. And here's what personal development is. It's not woo-woo. It's not anything this outlandish or require you to become, credulous. Personal development is nothing more than managing what you'll allow into your mind. And there's two things you can let in your mind, positive and negative. So leaders do personal development every day. Every single day of some form. It could be reading Think and Grow Rich. It could be reading The Instant Millionaire by Mark Fisher, one of my favorites. Listening to the Inner Circle audios. Coming to the Empower Hour on Monday nights. I don't miss that call. I don't find myself in a restaurant somewhere on Monday night and say, dang, forgot that. We got the call tonight. No. I don't go out to eat. If I go out to eat on Monday night, I go at like 5 o'clock. Because at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be there, whether I'm hosting the call or not, because that's important. That's mental fuel, right? Now, here's something that a lot of people mess up on. I've got to hurry, because I've got 4 other things to touch on real quickly. It doesn't do any good to haul garbage out the front door if you're going to bring a bunch of garbage from the back door. Right? So if you're doing all these wonderful things like listening to Inner Circle audios while you drive or while you work or while you're jogging, and then you're still going to listen to AM talk radio in the afternoon, you're screwed. Okay? You are totally negating everything that's possible. Afternoon radio is for people who hate life. Have you guys ever tuned into the crap that's still on AM talk radio? These are like the most hateful people in the world. I mean, they just hate everything. They're mad at it. This is the most angry group of people I've ever seen, and AM talk radio is all about it. The evening news. The evening news is a place where they start out by saying good evening, and then they spend the rest of the hour telling you why it's not. Right? So here's a challenge for you, and I've got to hurry. Here's a challenge for you. Stop watching the news. Stop reading the newspaper. Okay? It's crap. It's all the same stuff anyway. It's this celebrity's going into rehab. This one's coming out. This one took her clothes off and somebody had a video camera. It's junk. It's garbage, right? I promise you, if aliens land on the White House lawn, your broke friends will tell you about it. You don't have to tune in, okay? All right. If a princess dies in a car crash and you're on a cruise, you'll hear about it. We did, okay? Good, bad, right, or wrong, if you're going to take responsibility for what you put in your head, then take responsibility for all of it. Let me encourage you to do a 90-day media fast. No TV, no radio, no newspapers, no AM talk radio. Watch who you spend your time with. Okay, so I have to hurry. Personal development every single day. Income-producing activities every single day. Now, I have to park here for a minute because we've got speakers that are talking about this all weekend, but it is important to make a distinction that not all activities are income-producing. Like if you want to learn how to design websites, that's great, but that's not an income-producing activity. See the distinction? So you get people that call you up and they're like, I'm working my business and I'm not making the money I want to make. It's like, really? What did you do last week? Well, I worked my business about 20 hours. I'm like, how can you work your business for 20 hours and not make any money? It's not possible. Well, I'm trying to figure out HTML and CSS. And what's the difference? And I want to get a video uploaded, but I don't know whether to use the H.264 codec or Flash. And I'm like, I don't even know what I don't even know what I'm saying, okay? I don't even know what that was. So there's nothing wrong with learning that stuff. But here's what I do every day to make money. You ready? There's not a lot. It's a short list. So income producing activities, there's not a lot to get good at here. I would say blog, run ads, market your affiliate link, email your list, email your team. That's it. If there's a fifth one, I don't know what it is. So that's it. That's about all I do. It takes me about an hour and a half to do those things. And then I have other support activities that I do. Like I might, do a video for my team. Or I might get together with Kevin Connect and John Lavinia and Mark Kosio and Greg Onshut, and we might plan a webinar for our group or something. But when it comes to what am I doing to make money, it's not a lot. Which is why what David Wood said last night is true. Every single one of you can make $100,000 a month. You are a $100,000 a month earner. Do you believe that? Okay. All right, so personal development every single day. Income producing activities every single day, and there's not a lot of them. You can probably knock them out in 2 hours or less if you're full-time. If you're part-time alongside your job, probably 45 to 75 minutes. Okay? You're not writing Pulitzer Prize-winning articles. Okay? It's a blog. It's a blog. All right? It's an email. We're not splitting the atom here. Okay? All right. Number 3, visualize your goals daily. This is the tricky one. Mostly because things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. Eating an apple a day is easy, and yet how many people eat an apple a day? I've gotten in the habit. I got some really good ones for Christmas. And now I'm like this Honey Crisp. Is that what I'm eating? Oh my God. I have like a 20-pound box of Honey Crisp apples waiting for me at home. Yeah. Okay, drinking 8 glasses of water every day is easy, and it's also easy not to do, right? So, visualizing your goals daily is a little difficult to do because we're busy. And good Lord, we love our distractions, don't we? So the idea of going into a room and closing the door and just being still for 15 minutes is actually kind of tricky to do. And you have to kind of make yourself do it first. Meditation's good. Relax, go get a massage, whatever it works for you. But use those natural quiet times. When you wake up in the morning or when you're going to bed at night, nothing better than going off to sleep thinking about your life and what your life's about to look like in the next 90 days. Man, you just go to bed and your subconscious mind just chews on that stuff all night. What house are you going to live in? What are you going to be driving? What kind of experiences are your kids going to have? Where's the first place you're going to put your passport? Picture flying first class to Chicago. Coming early to enjoy the city before the event. All these things. Visualize what you want your life to look like. The other thing about goal setting, and this is something that we all know, is you have to be specific. It's kind of like ordering a pizza. If you order a pizza and you say, hey, I'm hungry, you don't have to get anything or nothing. But you call up and you say, hey, I want a thin crust, pepperoni, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You're being specific. Life's the same way. You got to be specific about what you want. And you do that by visualizing your goals. You're getting really crystal clear on what your life's about to look like. That's powerful. That's the one that I probably, and this is honest, we get busy. That's the one that's easy to let go of. But every time my business stalls, I can usually go through this list of 5 things, and that's usually the one I drop the ball on. Because over here in Western society, it's kind of like, hey, don't just sit there, do something. And this is about, hey, don't just do something, sit there. Okay? Visualize your goals there. Masterminding with leaders is number 4. This is what you're doing. This is it. How many people have heard the phrase, you'll earn the average income of the 6 people you spend most of your time with? Yeah. I was at Mr. Wok's. I just love to say it. Mr. Wok's Chinese food in McKinney, Texas. I was sitting across from a gentleman from South Africa, and every time I hear that, who's from South Africa, by the way? I thought I heard South Africa. Okay. There we are. Okay. And he says, Tony. I love how they talk. And there's nothing more entertaining than a Southern guy trying to imitate a South African. Feel free to get used. Tony, I can tell you exactly how much money you're going to make this year. And I said, well, you got to tell me. And he hands me his pen and a napkin, and he says, write down the incomes of the 6 people you spend most of your time around. I said, okay, well, Lamar, he makes about $20,000 a year, and he works 2 jobs to do it, and he's still borrowing money from me, and I'm broke. And there's Bob Wood. Wow, he's been unemployed for a year and a half. He lives in his basement, listening to motivational tapes. Okay. Number 3, my buddy Philip. Oh dear God, he's unemployed too. And literally, of the 6 names I wrote down, 5 of them were unemployed or borrowing money from me that I didn't have. And I thought, obvious question, how do I get around people that are making money? Because, hey, how do I get around somebody who's making millions of dollars? I don't know anybody that makes millions of dollars. Inner Circle. Release Your Inner Badass event in Austin, Texas. It's tied pretty closely to what we said a moment ago about personal development or a mastermind with leaders. Same thing. Is getting around people who are living the way you want to live. Not just how much money they make, but how they're earning the money. How they're earning the money. Are they grinding? Or they have just lots of fun. I talked to Lawrence Tam, and Lawrence is just having fun. Chuck Marshall's the same way. Do you get when you meet these folks that they're just regular people that have just chosen to live their life a certain way? Do you guys get that? Some of them look like aliens. I have questions about Kevin Kinnick. I'm just going to say that out loud, okay? Kevin might be from another planet, I'm not sure. Chris Darby and he may be from the same planet. But you get around them and you just relaxed confidence. These guys can just lay in a hammock and twitch their little finger and money just comes flying in the door. You got to get around people like that, right? So mastermind leaders. Last thing, and I've got 22 seconds. It'll never happen, Linus. I'm sorry. I'll hurry. This is one that would take a little longer to talk about, but it's very cool. And it's not one that I've heard taught outside of a very small circle. It's an advanced leadership concept. And it's basically cultivate the expectation of leadership. First time John told me that, I was like, wait a minute, what's that? Hold on. I gotta get my prepositions and my verbs all sorted here. It's not cultivate leadership, it's cultivate the expectation of leadership. What does that mean? And ironically, I was having tacos last night with John, and he quoted one of his favorite philosophers from Germany, Goethe, who basically said, if I treat people the way they are, they stay the way they are. If I treat them as they can become, that's what they become. If you tell me you want to make $500,000 a year, I'm going to treat you like a $500,000 earner. Okay? Now watch this real carefully. I'm not going to treat you like somebody that wants $500,000. I'm going to treat you like somebody who's already earning $500,000. I'm going to expect you to be all in. Somebody had a conversation with me recently. They said, hey, Tony, where do you get your traffic? And I'm like, well, let me ask you this first. Do you have a goal? You know what your goal is? And he did. I said, good. Are you all in? He's like, well, I've got my products. He's got a few of the products. I said, but you're not all in yet. Well, not yet. I'm like, well, here's the thing. There's some stuff that I'm doing that's talking to these products. You got to be all in. It wouldn't make sense for you to market the way I market if you can't earn the way I earn. And fortunately, he got it. I wasn't trying to, be, I can't tell you, it's super secret. It's not that. It's just that when you can make $3,000 commissions, you get to market a certain kind of way. There's certain marketing methods that just make sense, when you're qualified to earn these great commissions. And so, my point here basically is that if somebody says, hey, I want to make a certain amount of income, then I want to treat them like unless they show me that they're not serious, I'm going to assume they're serious. So if you come up to any one of the leaders this weekend and say, hey, I'm here and I want to make $500,000 a year. I want to make $1 million a year. We can show you how to do that. This weekend, that's what's happening. It's already going on. And you deserve it. You guys get that you deserve it? You guys really get that? Some of you do deserve it. So there you go. The reason people can read minds is because they operate on a set of rules. Just little simple little rules that make it look like they're doing something amazing when all it is they know the rules. And once you know the rules, then you realize, no, they're not really doing anything supernatural. They just know the rules. And these are the rules. There's really just about a few things to get really good at. And if you can do them for about 2 hours a day, you can live like a rock star. Is that cool? Guys, thank you for your attention. I love you guys. Thank you for being here.